Teige going in again, this time going up against Jai, leader of Team RT. Jai is using Gear Chronicles. And he also used a double mulligan, which I don't believe Teige did, so I'm guessing Teige has enough units to proper ride. Jai starts off by riding a perfect guard. Perfect guard is better than a misride, but it's probably still hurting him, the fact that he had to do that. Or more to say, it will in the long run. Teige rides an 8K. He took some time debating about what he wanted to do. Drive checks into a CEO Matrasu. So on grade 2, Jai rides Steam Knight Puzzle Eerie and calls one to rearguard. For a Soul Blast of 2 when it attacks in the rearguard circle, it can gain the Silent Tom skill so that the opponent can't guard it with zeros. Teige decides to allow himself to take 2 damage even though the first one was a draw trigger. And on grade 2 rides Silent Tom. Going into attack, Jai can't guard with zeros and therefore no guards. Silent Tom is a unique card in the sense that, and there's a critical trigger. It's unique in the sense that if you ride it as Vanguard, even though it usually will hit for 13, which is not that great a number, because you can't guard it with zeros, they can't just drop one card to make it a no pass, like you could any other 8K that you would ride. Speaking of rides, Jai isn't doing it. I don't know if he doesn't have a grade 3 or if he's just choosing not to. He's not G-assisting. So it's left to my assumption that he has a grade 3 in hand and just chooses not to use it. So Teige one passed and got criticaled. He's now at 5 damage. Teige has the option of playing the same game as his opponent and not riding, just calling rear guards, but he chooses to ride to grade 3 for the twin drive. Calls Psychic Bird and uses it for a draw, and gets a Silent Tom out of it. So Jai is using his grade zeros for the Vanguard, no passing for it, and now Silent Tom is hitting for 21,000, 2 critical. Jai doesn't guard, gets 2 triggers out of it. And now Jai is G-assisting. I'm guessing he didn't want the disadvantage of G-assisting before getting the grade 3 on a G-assist, and then afterwards, after losing the cards, his opponent does stride. That's more than likely what he was trying to avoid. So now he has to remove 2 of those cards from his hand from play. chooses the Steam Knight Amber and the critical trigger. He does still have the ability to stride because he has one of those stride enablers. Removes Chronos Command Dragon and Fate Rider Dragon from the G zone. So unless he has two of each, he's just deciding not to use one of them at all this game. To be honest, in my opinion, you only need one Fate Rider Dragon just because of what it does. It's something you want to do later in the game anyway. For those who don't know, Fate Rider Dragon's ability, it allows, and he's deciding to keep the Steam Knight Amber and put in Puzzle Eerie instead. But what Fate Rider Dragon does is that by sending a unit to the deck, you can call one unit that's one grade higher than what you sent to the deck onto the field as a superior call, shuffle the deck, and then for every face-up G unit in your G zone, you can give one unit 3,000 power. So if you have, say, 4 face-up G units, then 4 units gain 3,000 power. And no, you can't select the same unit twice. Jai is using Ragnarok. Can't get the skill of Ragnarok, but he's using it anyway. Kind of an interesting choice. I don't know if he uses Mystery Flare, but this will probably be the best time to bring it out. Because Ragnarok is a vanilla unit, it's not doing anything. That's 21,000 because Ilulu's ability, when it was placed onto the... He did that late. He actually did that late. If it was me, I actually would have said you did that after I declared guard. Ragnarok doesn't gain the critical. It does still prevent guard from zeros. And this is another unit that prevents guard from zeros. And even with all that, Teige had guard. He did have to call a unit from the top of... He did have to top deck, though. Didn't get anything he could use to stride. So he could have a problem here. First check is a heal trigger. Gives him the ability to take an attack next turn. Second one is Susanoo, and fortunately there's no third. 13k to the Vanguard. Still hits, needs a guard. So now we see Ragnarok again. This time it actually will gain the extra critical. And just like before, which is something I had to read to realize, he can't guard with grade zeros. Of course, he can guard that with grade zeros because Jai is out of soul. But he might also be contemplating taking the attack because he knows he can't guard all three. Nope, he blocks it. Ragnar Clock gets used, but Teige had a perfect guard. First check is a heal trigger. Second is a grade 1, and third is a grade 2. So even with Teige being forced to take this attack, it won't end the match. And he counterblasted for some reason. Not entirely sure why he did, but he did do it. Teige is going 16k at the Vanguard again. That's a 1 pass, and that's 2. Another perfect guard and a CEO. Teige is just gaining the power to survive. Here comes another stride. Brings out Lost Age Dragon. Attacks the Vanguard. And it's immediately perfect guarded. Unfortunately, from here, the only way that Teige is going to survive is if he gets a heal trigger. Even if the card in hand is a grade 0. And that's the end of the match. Good games to both players involved. The decider of the match was both players getting a critical early on, combined with, well, basically when Jai got the critical early on is what decided everything. Moving on to the next match.